everyone. Welcome to Risk Roundup. I'm Jayshree Pandya, founder of Risk Group. I'm also the author of the book, The Global Age NGIOA at Risk, where NGIOA stands for nations, its government, industries, organizations, and academia. While a big data revolution is underway in healthcare, there is also another silent revolution brewing in healthcare industry in the form of regenerative medicine. Regenerative medicine is perhaps a game-changing area of medicine with the potential to fully heal damaged tissues and organs, offering solutions and hope to people all across nations for the treatment of numerous everyday medical problems. Regenerative medicine holds the promise of affordable and effective healthcare and is making great strides with the help from 3D printing and stem cell therapies. What is amazing is that the driver of the silent revolution of regenerative medicine is the new knowledge about stem cells, knowledge about growth factors, human genome, hormones, and the complex interconnected and interdependent systems of the human body. Stem cell research is a revolutionary opportunity to explore and understand scientific phenomena to treat human diseases in an effective way. To discuss this emerging silent revolution in medicine, its tactical as well as strategic impact on the healthcare system, along with its independent and interdependent opportunities and risks, I'm delighted to welcome our guest for this week, Deven Patel. Deven is the CEO, President, and co-founder of Global Institute of Stem Cell Therapy and Research, with headquarters in San Diego, California, USA. Welcome, Deven. We are honored to have you on Risk Roundup.
Thank you for having me.
So Deven, let's start with this. Stem cells and their use in regenerative medicine have been talked about a lot lately. For the Risk Roundup viewers, can you explain what exactly does it mean?
In terms of?
In terms of what is it? Stem cell, what is stem cell therapy? What is regenerative medicine? Just some basic,
It's very simple. Anything that degenerates in our body, stem cells' job is to regenerate. So stem cell is a master cell of the body, and from there, the entire body is created. So as we grow up, just like think of a building, if I make it very simple. When you're building a building from scratch, you have a lot of material. And as building goes up and when building is complete, all the material supply goes down. And maybe, you have a storage room where you put a couple bulbs and glass and some tile, just in case any small, damage to the home, you can change the bulb or a tile. Same with our body. Once our body matures at age of 20, 25, fully matured, then you don't need many more stem cells. So, you have very few left. So if there's little cuts and bruises and stuff, that can heal. But let's say in the building, you break a whole wall, then you cannot repair from your storage room. You have to bring the supply from outside. Same thing with our bodies. When it's matured after 2025, and then there's some kind of disease of their organ malfunction, then you need external support. And that's where you need to use a more stem cell, which you get it from your own body or from the donor. So this is a regenerative medicine. Anything that degenerates, stem cells' job is to regenerate and repair. That's why it's called regenerative medicine.
That's fascinating. That's a very good explanation. So do you see that the reason why it is gaining a lot of popularity is the fundamental concept of regeneration and not of replacement, which, modern medicine is so focused on?
Yes, absolutely. If you really think about it, since the last 5,000 years, from Ayurveda to Chinese medicine, everything, we've been doing surgery. So we are cutting open people and putting, kidneys out, pull out the kidneys and, new heart and all that things are happening. But in my personal opinion, it's a very barbaric way of treating human. This is the first science that came to humankind where basically it allows you to treat human in a very humane way and very non-invasive way without cutting people open. You just inject stem cell through, IV or, to the particular location of the organ without cutting open people. So and there's no side effects. That's the beauty. It's your own cell. So there's no side effects. Their job is to regenerate and repair you. So what better option can you have? In pharmaceutical or in allopathic medicine, it's a chemical. It's going from outside into your body, and you have a lot of side effects. One good effect, but maybe 10 side effects. And that really is not the focus of this science. This focus of this science is to go specifically for the specific injuries or tissue regeneration and repair that, and without any side effects.
Now, there are some skeptics who say that, there is a risk here there is a risk of causing tumor, because once the cells go inside the body, you don't know where they're going to land. You don't know what it would do inside. And we know that there has not been any very focused study about the risk having with the regenerative medicine or with the stem cell therapy. So what are your thoughts on that? Have you seen in your journey of regenerative medicine with your research institute, or with the cases that you have seen, that there has been any case of tumor formation, or some any other complexities that you have seen?
I'm so glad you asked this question, and you asked this first, and you asked this specific question because a lot of people miss that, and they get lost into the lot of media misinformation. And I'm glad you asked a very direct and a perfect question, because there are different type of stem cells. I'm 44-year-old, so my skin cell is a 44-year-old skin cell. So it's an adult cell. Anything beyond embryo, it's all adult stem cells. So we use adult stem cell for the treatment. Adult stem cell does not form any tumor. We have treated thousands, hundreds of patients, and there's not a single patient has any problem because it's adult stem cell. It's embryonic stem cell is the one that, if it's not differentiated properly, then it can turn into tumor. So there are very few handful of people around the world who can really handle that. And our chairman, Dr. Anand Srivastava, co-founder and a chairman of GIOSTAR, which is Global Institute of Stem Cell Therapy and Research, he's considered one of the pioneer in starting the field of stem cell research. And in 2007, first clinical trial in the world approved by U.S.A. to use embryonic stem cell, not adult, embryonic stem cell in human to treat spinal cord injury was approved through U.C.I, University of California, Irvine. And that's the first clinical trial. And still today, it's the only clinical trial for spinal cord injury to use embryonic stem cell in human. And after that, in 2011, from UCLA, University of California, Los Angeles, he published another groundbreaking work to show exactly how you control embryonic stem cells so it does not form a tumor. So, but embryonic stem cell is not in a clinical practice. It's in a research. There are a couple of clinical trials going on. So nobody's using embryonic stem cell today for a patient care. So it's common, but we are not there yet. But we use adult stem cell for the treatment, and adult stem cell doesn't have any risk.
So for therapeutic purpose, you're not using embryonic stem cells. No. So those are adult stem cells. So I'm glad you made the differentiation and you clarified that. I'm sure that a lot of people would be happy by that. Before we go forward, you just mentioned GIOSTAR, your institute. Would you like to say a few words about it? What is its focus? What is its mission, and why you established that?
It's very simple. Our focus is stem cell science is the most advanced, most elite, and most expensive science of our age. Like in the United States, few places where we do lymphoma, leukemia, thalassemia, a stem cell transplant. Those things cost $250,000 a pop, or may even go more, $500,000. So how do you make this science available to masses? So when Dr. Anand, my partner, and we were talking about it in 2006, 2007 area, he said, let's make this available to the masses. And that became our vision. And how do you make $250,000 a pop available to the masses? So Dr. Srivastava said, Deven, that your last name is Patel, it's your problem. You make it happen.
Yes, I believe he's right.
and so basically, our vision was very simple. Let's take this science and go around the world and make it available to the masses. And that's how we started. And fortunately, we got a call from Prime Minister of India, Narendra Modi. At that time, he was a Chief Minister of Gujarat. And he said, we search around the world to find the best practices for stem cell treatment for thalassemia and sickle cell anemia in my states. And they said, our search ended at UCSD, and you guys are the people who are there. And we want you to come and help us develop the stem cell transplant program for my thousands of people. Again, music to my ears, make it available to the masses. And today we are building world's largest stem cell treatment hospital in the world, in India, in Surat, in collaboration with the government of Gujarat, where thousands of these people are so poor that they don't have money to buy a bus ticket from their village to come to this 7-star infrastructure that we're building for them. So it's the most advanced science to the most downtrodden people on the earth. And that's the power of vision. That's the power of political will. That's the power when you believe in it, you can make it happen.
Yes, absolutely. I think it's wonderful news. Now, let me ask you this. I mean, are you starting this hospital in India because Prime Minister Modi invited you to start the venture there? Or is there any other reason that made you decide to go to India and not start something similar here in United States?
If I have to do the same thing in United States, it will take me to build an infrastructure. It'll take me 5 to 7 years and 5 to 10 times the money. So when I got an invitation from a government of India, I took upon that opportunity. And now we're not only working with the state of Gujarat, state of Madhya Pradesh, state of Chhattisgarh, state of Jharkhand, all the chief ministers are coming to us, and we're building many other projects with them. We also opened world's first dedicated stem cell treatment hospital in India, again, in Ahmedabad, the city I was born, because this is something I wanted to do for a place where I was from. So we started there. And again, we're planning to do something in the United States. We're planning our headquarter here, the huge new headquarter, which will have a research and the hospital together. So from bench to the bedside will not take years, but will happen in a few short months if possible. So our job is to take this research and convert into the clinical practice as safest as possible and as fast as possible. And that's what we are doing. And we're basically expanding around the world: India, China, Thailand, Dubai, Brazil, Turkey, Philippines, Colombia, so many places. I don't even remember the countries that we are going to.
Wow, that's wonderful. So it seems like your focus is global.
It is.
That is really good to know. Now, when you are, how big do you think is the global market for this?
A lot of reports out there, a lot of research data. People do a lot of research, and they talk to a lot of few companies, I would say, only few top companies. And they publish this data, which in my opinion is not reliable data unless you are into it. And, we are in this business. We're the people who are the pioneers who started this field in 2000. And we are leading this field. And so if you ask people from the industry, you'll have a better understanding than just reading those reports that were written by people who have no business to be in stem cells. So they write that, by 2020, this market in American market will reach to almost like $50 billion. World market will reach to a couple $100 billion. But in my opinion, there are certain categories. There is a autologous stem cell treatment category, which is regenerative medicine treatment. Then there is a products, which is, all the supporting products to do stem cell research. That's a whole huge segment. There is a stem cell-based new categories coming, stem cell-based cosmetics, which is coming up and popping around the world. So there are many different categories, and you have to really focus into which categories that you are talking about. So but the biggest industry is going to be stem cell treatment, and a lot of people are afraid, a lot of doctors, a lot of institutions, a lot of, because they think they're going to go out of the business. Sometimes pharma thinks that they're going out of the business, but that's not what it is. Stem cell is the most complementary way and the most natural way of treating human, because it's your own cell, and you are enhancing their ability to function and bring their function back to normal. And in my opinion, no pharma or any other industry should be worrying about it, rather jump into it. And just in the United States, we have hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars investment in this industry. Like California Institute for Regenerative Medicine, which is the largest government entity in the United States, which is part of government of California, gave us $3 billion in 2004 to continue this research. And now they're talking about convert that into $10 billion and take it to $100 billion. So there are top philanthropists, their business is to make money. So these are the smartest people who know how to make money, and they know where to put their money to get the maximum return. And these people are not investing, they're giving away $100 million, $200 million to these institutions in the United States to do research. So that tells you this is the place to be, and this is where is anybody around the world coming out of medical science within the next 5 to 10 years. They have to learn stem cell research or stem cell transplant.
You're right, but it is still a competition. In the healthcare, there are so many different healthcare approaches all across nations, from traditional medicine to allopathic medicine to Ayurveda, homeopathy, Chinese medicine, to regenerative medicine. There are so many different approaches that are there across nations, and each one of these approaches has its own strengths and weaknesses. Now, amidst that, how do you think regenerative medicine will make a headway and convince people to give it a try?
This is an excellent question because voice not coming through properly. I hear little echo.
Yeah, there's a little echo.
Okay, this is the perfect question because you said it's allopathic, naturopathic, Ayurvedic. Stem cell is a combination of everything. This is the most natural way of treating human beings. As I said, it's your own cell, and their job is to treat or repair anything that degenerates. So it's a combination, let's say natural medicine. What is it? Basically, it's a plant material that you create a pill out of it and put it into your body to enhance the function of the cell, right? Regenerative medicine is enhancing the function of the cell itself without any other external support. So how much natural can you get? How much better can you get? This is the ultimate. So it has to succeed and it has to move forward. I mean, when I said it has to succeed, it is succeeding. It is not a future. It is here. Where we are treating hundreds of patients in our hospitals right now, and we are building dedicated stem cell treatments hospitals around the world, working with the different world government, and they're all accepting this medicine. Most conservative of all on this earth is Saudi Arabia, right? Saudi Arabia has invited us just next month to develop something in their country. So talk about acceptance.
No, I hear you, and especially, I mean, right now, we all know how expensive it is to treat any chronic disease. You talk about diabetes or, cardiovascular disease or cancer or any kind of other diseases. It is so expensive, for lifelong treatment on, a lot of these diseases. So something that is affordable and economical, and it would not put strain on the economic system of any nation is always welcoming. But let me ask you this question. You have been trying to work with many different countries to start a similar program in their countries. Which countries are more supportive towards regenerative medicine and they want to start, going in that direction? And which countries are hesitant based on your experience so far?
In my experience, Asia is very open. They wanted to do this. Like that means India, China, Thailand, Korea. So those countries, Asian countries, are no problem. Same with all the South American countries that we are working with the governments. They are very open. Only area that we find some resistance, not today, I'm talking about 5, maybe 6 years ago, was the Middle East. But now, as I said, Saudi Arabia invited us to help them develop the stem cell transplant program for their people, because what we were told, it is their people who are asking for the treatment. Now, we're not even a doctor, people is on it. So they are forced to really receive and accept this new science. And as I said, this is the most natural way of treating human being and most non-invasive way of treating human beings. So why not?
Yes, absolutely. Why not? Based at this point, you are saying that you have already started treatment in the hospitals that you have built. What are the different diseases that you are having a therapeutic program based on this stem cell therapy that you have? What are the different diseases that you are able to treat?
We started with blood cancer, which is a regular, well-established clinical practice in the United States and rest of the world for lymphoma, leukemia, thalassemia. But those are very vigorous programs that requires tremendous infrastructure, tremendous manpower, and very skilled manpower. And on top of that, we added a lot of adult autonomous stem cell transplant program for autoimmune diabetes, scleroderma, lupus, Crohn's, ALS, a lot of skin disease, liver disease, alcoholic liver, a lot of some neurological conditions, autism, Parkinson's, so many we are trying to make it to the masses. So I would say next 3 years, in our institute, we'll be providing autologous transplant for many conditions more than what I can do. And
Yes,
the
yes.
beauty is, what I want to add to this, you mentioned that this will allow you to save money. You know? If you treat a diabetic patient for the period of 30, 40 years, and you compare that with the complications they will have because of diabetes, because nobody dies because of diabetes, they die because of the side effects of diabetes, because the heart is affected, their kidneys, their eyes. If you compare that condition, stem cells, I'm throwing in maybe maximum 20,000 now, okay? And if that person is figured under control and they live a normal, proper, controlled life, there are millions of dollars you're saving per person. So there, you're taking on a burden of the healthcare system, millions of dollars per person. We've done the one calculation for one of the government in India, or the state government, and we showed that in a period of 20 years, we would save on that particular state, which has a population of, let's say, 20 million people. Not 20 million, sorry, about 35 million people. We would save approximately over a period of 20 years over a couple of $billion in the healthcare system. And governments have that.
That is very, very interesting. There are really, I think these are fascinating developments. But also, I believe that they are going to be disruptive as far as the healthcare sector goes. Because when we are talking about the diseases that are chronic diseases, the treatments, the way they are currently being treated by the modern medicine, and how the pharmaceutical industry and how the surgeries and all that goes with it. If regenerative medicine is it is possible to cure those diseases by very in a very affordable manner, in a very economical manner, then there is going to be dramatic changes in the economic factors or in the survival and sustainability of a lot of different sectors of healthcare. And that is just the way natural evolution happens. And if in this competition of different sectors of healthcare, different approaches of healthcare, if one is very affordable, very efficient, and very accessible, then there is going to be a challenging time for many healthcare sectors from what I hear right now. But at the same time, I don't believe that many countries, many nations are ready to let the regenerative medicine, go to clinical trials, or to even have the clinical approach, in near future. So, what are your thoughts on those countries? I'm sure in United States, there is not much that we are hearing about regenerative medicine in clinical practice. What are your thoughts on that?
There are a lot of misinformation in the media. And as I said, California itself, the government, they built the largest government department called California Institute for Regenerative Medicine, putting billions of dollars in the research. I'm talking about California. Many other states are doing the same thing. But there's a tremendous misinformation in the media about stem cell, and it's illegal and it can be done. But reality is totally different. All the top universities in the United States and from around the world are heavily vested into stem cell research or regenerative medicine. That's the one.
You're talking about research.
Yeah, and
the therapeutic part, the clinical part.
Over 2,000 plus clinical trials going on underway in United States and rest of the world, which is also a lot of people don't have information on. 2,000 plus clinical trials. That is not a small amount, and also you mentioned these countries are not ready to accept regenerative medicine. Because it's a very brand new science. We started in 2007. We're the people who started this field in the United States. So 2000 to 2015, it's only 15-year-old science. And a lot of countries don't have even a concept about it. So that's where we come in, and that's where we go to the governments of the country we approach the rulers or government and help them understand the possibilities and benefits of this science and clinical practices. And once you explain them, once they see the evidence, once they see the benefits, they receive us with the open hands. I mean, just in India, we have a couple $1 billion worth of projects going on. So imagine once we expand to the rest of the world. I mean, we are every continent except Australia. So every country, including Australia, is ready and working in stem cell research. And now a lot of doctors are providing autologous stem cell treatments, including United States.
I see. Now, I'm glad to know that. How long, you said that there are a lot of research efforts going on. How long is the path from lab to the clinic? I mean, there are research, a lot of advances in research are happening, but once in the research, in the lab, they say that, okay, we are comfortable that we can, have a new therapy for a new disease. How much time it takes from the, to take that from the lab to the, clinic?
Well, standard time for any medical clinical research is between 5 to 10 years. I mean, that's standard. And we are pushing that envelope to bring those, because now science has evolved so fast, and now every day it's evolving, tremendous research coming, and in many areas of regenerative medicine. So now I don't see, from 2 to 5 years, you will see clinical practices for many, many diseases around the world, just in 2 to 5 years. I'm not talking about 15, 20, 30 years.
It is. We are very close. You are saying that we are very close to
yes.
a lot of different therapeutic. Now you are saying that a lot of investment is happening in California and a lot of other states. Based on your knowledge and experience across nations, where else do you see the investments, pouring, and which are the main diseases or main research areas where you see the investment, going heavily?
Investments going on neurological conditions, cardiovascular conditions, and autoimmune diseases, because they are basically, degenerative diseases. So China putting tremendous money in this, India, Korea, Japan. Japan has even cleared up their stem cell policy such that you can do clinical trial in a very fast track. U.S. is, everybody's catching up with U.S. And I'm one of those persons, shouting around the world and say, look, and telling people in the U.S. scientific communities that, look, if we are not going to open up, if we are going to be a slow pace, these countries going to take over. So now California Institute for Regenerative Medicine has opened up a ways to fast track the clinical trials as well, because U.S. is feeling this heat from Asia, from, so we have to move. Everybody has to move, because the heat is being generated from around the world, and everybody's in a race to go there first. But in my opinion, nobody has to race for science, because it is proliferating around the world, and everybody's going to have access. And institutions like ours, stem cell therapy, GIOSTAR, its sole purpose is to make available the science to the people, to the masses, to the doctors, to the researchers. So it is now. And
yes, you are right, absolutely right. It's very interesting information. Now we know that we have medical tourism going on for a long time for a lot of different areas, but the stem cell tourism has started picking up. For the therapies that are available overseas, and which are, like, for example, some therapies are available in India and they're not available in United States. So as people come to know more about it, they are making a decision to travel overseas and get the treatment for them. What is the process if, let's say, someone hears that, okay, this disease is being cured in India by this particular approach, and I would like to give it a try. What is the normal process for that? How does it go?
Normal process, people usually search on internet, and then after that they get the information. A lot of stem cell companies are advertising that, but that approach has its own risks, because there are also a lot of clinics, not institutions, large hospitals like us or organizations like us, who are hardcore researchers. We are the people who do everyday hardcore research and then try to convert that into clinical practice very carefully, very conservatively. But there are a lot of small clinics, doctors who are neurologists or who are kidney doctors or liver doctors. Every doctor knows that there's so much money in regenerative medicine, and they left and right provide this adult stem cell treatment. But in my opinion, not every clinic or all the people who are trying to provide these kind of therapies are par with the knowledge and expertise that they are supposed to be. But any industries, when it's at the infant stage, there are a lot of people jump into it. If you think about it, 100 years ago, phone companies and car companies, there are 100 phone companies and car companies, and today's only few companies survive. Same with this industry. Eventually, the real players will lead this industry. But a lot of doctors now has access to this science, but our job is to educate them. That's why we exist. So we provide them the best knowledge and best practices so that their patient gets the best out of, for the money they're paid.
Of course. Now, we know that this is still not a regulated industry. There is no regulatory oversight probably in many different nations. And without that oversight, what are the risks that you see? I mean, you just said that, there are a lot of risk about, going through internet, a lot of people may end up, going through some scams because of that. So how do people differentiate that, okay, these are the genuine hospitals or, research centers where we could go, and who is accountable, who is watching all this, the oversight and challenges right now?
Right. I think this is another excellent. You've been asking an amazing question. I tell you, you're right on the spot. It's amazing that you're asking all these questions. So, America, very regulated. India has its own, but basically everybody is following American stem cell guidelines, and then they customize according to their needs and their country. So, America, India, China. China is a little out of control, but they are getting these things under control. Japan is from excellent guidelines. Korea, Australia. So all these big countries and places have their guidelines, and the other countries basically follow these guidelines. So, and that's where we come into place again. We talk to these smaller governments and we help them develop their policies, which will allow them to progress and take their countries to the level where United States is by developing a proper guidelines. And we also go around the world and help them develop those proper guidelines, proper policies. And also we help them to develop a fast track. They don't have to start from zero. They don't have to go 15 years back, just like cell phone revolution for Africa. They didn't have to go from landline. They jumped straight to the, no phone to cell phone, So same approach, we are helping these other countries who don't have guidelines, don't have regulations, to develop such guidelines and regulations so they safely and at the same time in a very proper time manner, they can develop proper sciences and clinical practices for those countries. But
it's still a wishful thinking that, by us, suggesting them or by us guiding them, helping them, they are going to follow every single steps that is supposed to be taken, to make it in a very ethical manner, in a very scientific and, very structured way. Because without having any global standard body who is developing standards or who is watching, how each nation is going with this therapies, it's difficult to believe that or imagine that the standards are going to be what it should be. I mean, when it comes to United States, it's different. When it comes to a lot of other countries, it's different. So every country has different ways of working, different ways of conducting research, different ways of conducting therapeutic practices. So without having a proper global guidelines, global standards, it is going to be challenged, and we'll have to just wait and see that how these global standards are developed. Because as you say that this is in the process of being accepted or being put in practice across so many different countries. And while this is going on so rapidly, investments are pouring in so heavily, we still don't have a regulatory body who is working at the same space or same speed that can catch up with the advances and developments that are going on in this fascinating field. I think there is a great future in regenerative medicine, but at the same time, we also need to develop proper accountability, proper standards, so that the quality of the care that people receive at the end of this research journey that everyone is going on so rapidly, that they have the same kind of opportunities to heal and to have a better life like everyone else. Now let me ask you this question. We talked about that your efforts are focused towards making it very affordable and economical. How much does one treatment cost for any diseases that you are treating right now? Just a ballpark estimate.
It depends on the patient's condition, what stage of the disease, what kind of the disease. And so I can't pinpoint it, but I want to tell you that our goal and our vision is to make it available to the masses. And only way you make it available to masses means you go to the country that has the lowest affordability. And if you make that, bring the prices down to those people, then in a true sense, you are making it affordable to every part of the world. And in my opinion, it's a personal opinion, but healthcare is not something should be not available to the people in Africa and available to the people in America because they're more affluent. In my opinion, healthcare should be available to every human on this earth. Without or with, my personal opinion, there should not be any cost even. Certain basic things, and I believe the healthcare is a basic need of human. And my personal goal is to work towards that, to make it available to the masses. And right now, let's say $250,000 a pop in United States for lymphoma leukemia. We're trying to bring that cost down to $20,000 to $25,000. That's 90% reduction in the price, but still that is not affordable in many third world countries. So the challenge is huge, but without challenge, there's no fun. So we're working on it.
No, I mean, I hear your point on that. I mean, if you look at the way chronic diseases are, treated, or how much any single disease, cost in a lifetime, it is very expensive. It is not affordable. Most of the treatments that we have right now, they are not affordable. While the insurance, I mean, now see, again, there is another interesting point is that every country has a different way of healthcare functioning. Like in U.S.A., we have a very different approach to healthcare, that is by insurance. People, insure themselves. Mostly it was government. Mostly so far it was employer-based insurance. Now, because of the Affordable Care Act, we have it going through the government also. But how does I don't at this stage? I don't believe the insurance industry is accepting any regenerative medicine treatments. Am I correct, or is there?
That's half correct, I would say, because all the blood cancers that we treat with stem cell, lymphoma, leukemia, they're all paid by insurance.
Okay, so they are covered.
It's regular clinical practice, but then many new conditions, that autoimmune diseases and many other conditions, are not ready or not acceptable yet. But there are a lot of large organizations like government, or I'm just using example of India, like government departments, like for example, railway departments would cover their employees, or big institutions would pay for it. So there are a lot of institutions coming up on their private insurance to get these things covered. So slowly it will happen. I mean, it has to happen. There's no other way. And even if, as I said, my goal is to, even if insurance is not paying, I want to make it so affordable that average middle-class family can afford to pay for this.
People can afford that. No, it's a very noble goal, and I hope you succeed in that. Having said that, the healthcare system is different in every country, and how each nation goes for their healthcare approach is very different. So, based on your experience and your knowledge about how you have dealt with all these countries, what do you think are the biggest obstacles for regenerative medicine or stem cell therapy that you see in the coming years?
In terms of policy making, that's where these countries are lacking to really develop the proper standards that we talked about earlier. Once we have proper policies in place, then you have a perfect pathway to really grow that field and make it more affordable and more accessible to the people. So we are right now at the stage, as I said, this is a very new industry, and any new industry will have this problem. But we are organizing as a world, and as governments are collaborating with each other and really developing proper standards, and standards that is acceptable at every level, at every different country and a culture, because there's a cultural issues too. It's not only policy issues. There's a cultures issue. There's a belief systems that comes into place. So once we overcome all that and really see the benefit that humanity should receive from this science, I think we will expand at much faster pace than we are doing it right now.
No, I hear your point, and I think everyone's goal is to make healthcare affordable, irrespective of nation. So, because unless healthcare becomes affordable, it cannot reach to masses, and it only is available to only few, even though we try to make it accessible by allowing them to buy insurance even in United States. But even after insurance, it is still not affordable to many people. So if regenerative medicine is able to provide affordability to the masses for healthcare, that is really welcoming thought, and I hope people like you succeed in achieving that goal. Now, we have talked about affordability, we have talked about accessibility. How effective? Let's talk about effectiveness, because for me personally, when I look at healthcare, I look at three factors: accessibility, affordability, and effectiveness. Now, there are a lot of different approaches of healthcare that we see, disease care, I would rather say, that there are a lot of different treatment options available, but it's mostly maintenance, and it's mostly managing the symptoms. And effectiveness is something that you don't see in a lot of disease care that is available across different healthcare approaches. So give me some based on the patients that you have been treated, or based on the diseases that you have been having in clinical therapy right now, what is the effectiveness of that you see in your stem cell therapies?
But let me congratulate you again. You were asking amazing questions, and I'm so happy that you're asking all these questions. So you said it's three things that you look at: affordability, accessibility, and affordability. So affordability, this we talked about, but I wanted to add to that. A person who's working in India, an electrical company, he's a lowest laborer who works up to the pole and change the bulb, might be making 500 per month. Okay. Now that basically working on electrical fell off and had a spinal injury, his first spinal injury, came to us, and we treated him for his condition. He was basically in vegetative state for 2 years. This is a 2-year-old. After first he had a bladder control, bowel control. He can move a little bit through his knees and do his own work. Now, medically speaking, our scientists on our team says, Deven, it's only maybe 10% improvement. But if you think about lifestyle, it is 1,000% improvement. A person can eat with his own hands. He can go to the bathroom. He has a bladder control, bowel control. That's a tremendous improvement. And if you, let's say ALS or MS, if you can just stop the progression of the disease, that in itself is a tremendous achievement. But we have not only been able to stop the progression of the disease, but we have been able to reverse. There are patients with diabetes, right, who are taking 20 units of insulin, but after 1 year of a treatment, they are on the pills. There are some patients off the insulin, off the pills, and treating and living a normal life. And as long as they maintain proper lifestyle, they may not have to take the medicine. So there's a patient who had an alcoholic liver failure, right? And basically has to go for a liver transplant, but the family didn't have $100,000+ for the liver transplant. So the challenge was whether liver is, by the time the liver is available, this person is going to be alive or not. That's another challenge. So we did the stem cell transplant for this patient who basically couldn't even walk. And a couple of weeks later, a patient walks home, and with a much better liver conditions and living healthy life, and he may not even need a liver transplant. So there are a lot of, my own mother, when I was building 4 years ago, my mother was suffering from skin disease, psoriasis, and she had a red hot cracked up skin on her chest, on her back, blood coming out, water coming out, and she was suffering like crazy. And she basically tells me, son, it feels like somebody's taking a torch and burning me 24 hours. And she started giving me a messages like, son, spend time with me, I'm dying, and I can't take pain anymore. And one day she announced publicly, said, I can't take this pain anymore, I'm dying. And because she had her skin is all so bad on her back, on her chest, on her legs, she could not even lie down. Even if we put a cotton sari on her, she would scream. If I put an ointment on her, I put a glove on, and I look away. Even I can't see it, her pain. And I told Mom, your son is blessed enough to build something 5 minutes from your home. Please come, And she was one of our first patients after a transplant. Guess what? In 3 hours, her burning and itching was gone. In 48 hours, her skin was 90% like yours and mine. In 72 hours, 100% her skin is like yours and mine. What a blessing that God for you. For your mother's.
That is a blessing, Deven. I have to tell you. I mean, no words can describe that feeling, when you see that what you are doing makes so much difference in the people that you love and care about. That is absolutely amazing, and I'm very happy to hear about that. So, David, I mean, before we started this dialogue, we were talking briefly about your background, and it seems you have studied so many different things. And what made you decide that what attracted you towards going towards the regenerative medicine? You could have done anything with your background that you have. You could have been in any field, but you chose regenerative medicine. What was the reason behind that?
When I was a little kid, my mother's brother and my mother's father had a cancer of for the tobacco chewing. They have a cancer in your mouth. And I would to every doctor's appointment, every operation they have to cut through, because they cut first here, then they cut more, then they'll cut the tongue. And my mother started taking me there, not realizing it's so traumatic for a little child to see all this. But somehow that experience put that voice in the back of my mind that no human should suffer from any disease. And I didn't think about this medicine, but somehow it is a divine intervention. That from Midwest, I was brought to California 15 years ago, and that led me to meet with Dr. Anand Srivastava, who is a pioneer in the stem cell research, and that led to this journey, which we just begin.
Yes, it just began, and there is so much more to explore, and there is so much more to conquer. So with that thoughts, I think we will conclude here. I mean, this is such a fascinating field, Deven. I could talk for hours on this, and there is so much to know, so much to learn in this, and so many questions and so many answers that we look forward to. And I hope that we can have this dialogue again, maybe in near future, so that we can stay tuned to the advances that your research institute is having. What advances we can see, we can hope, we can expect from GIOSTAR's initiatives, GIOSTAR's research. And I hope that the goal that you have to provide this regenerative medicine, stem cell therapy available to everyone across nations, I hope you succeed in that. And we'll be delighted to see the progress that you and GIOSTAR and Dr. Srivastava are making. And we wish you all the very best. And that's it for today, friends. For more information on Risk Roundup and for the upcoming Risk Dialogue, please go to riskgroupllc.com. Thank you, everyone, and please join us again. Thank you so much, Deven. It was really nice talking to you, and I'm really happy to hear about all the progress that you are making.
Thank you, and looking forward to talk to you in future.